Hello, everyone. Welcome into the Viewhouse Centennial for a very special edition of Xfinity Monday Live because I got my two favorite guys here. We got Coach Mike Sanford, we got Nate Jackson. I know you guys miss seeing us on Saturday nights on CBS, so we're throwing it here on a Monday after championship weekend, guys. The Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl. My mom noticed that Mike called it, apparently, on the Blitz. I don't remember this.
Yeah.
Who did you pick to make it?
Chiefs, I think, didn't I?
Did you also
or maybe
pick?
I said
No,
the Ravens.
I think you picked the Broncos, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, that was close, but no cigar for the Broncos there.
Okay.
But
They made it to the postseason, though.
smart money with the Chiefs because
Okay.
they're just that good.
Gosh, they're...
So that's my question. They're back in it again. 5 Super Bowls in 6 years. I mean, this is insane. How do they do it?
They do it because Andy Reid is the best situational play caller in football, and he's got the best quarterback to make the right play at the right time. I mean, even just watching the game yesterday, the way he took off and ran, that's not even really part of his repertoire that makes him special right now as an NFL player. He was phenomenal in the ground game.
Two touchdowns on the ground for the first time in his career, which is a kind of a crazy stat. He did that against Josh Allen, who's supposed to be the running quarterback. But the Chiefs defense, their special teams, they find a way to win no matter what. It's not just about Patrick Mahomes. It is this entire team. And you're right, Andy Reid just hasn't played at a high level.
Let's talk, of course, about Patrick Mahomes. If they do three-peat, if they make history, what no team has done, obviously Tom Brady's kind of your quarterback GOAT. There's other ones too. But if he three-peats, and I know he's still very young in his career, is he at the top of the charts now?
I just recently saw this stat that it took Tom Brady 15 seasons to get to his 4th Super Bowl victory.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes has a chance to do it in 2 weeks in just 8 seasons. But that's 8 seasons to have 4 Super Bowls. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
Your 50% hit rate in your career winning Super Bowls.
Yeah. We got to remember, though, he took over for a good team. Alex Smith handed him the keys to a very good team. Andy Reid had already built this team up. They were a 10-win team per year. He didn't take over a bad team like most first-round quarterbacks do. He was able to kind of take it to the next echelon. I still think he's behind Joe Montana, personally, because Joe Montana's 4 for 4 in Super Bowls, hasn't thrown an interception in a Super Bowl. I think if he wins this one in a couple weeks, he surpasses Joe, and then he's just got to chase the ring count, and he's got a lot of time to do it. The question is, will we ever see another quarterback play until he's 45? I don't know if the game's going to support that the way these guys run around these days.
You know, I'm glad you said that, because when you look at the quarterbacks that are in the Super Bowl, even the quarterbacks that were in the championship weekend, those 4 guys, even the guys that were playing in the national championship in college, everybody's using their legs. The days of the Peyton Mannings and Tom Brady's, is that day of just the pure pocket passer, is that over?
I think it is. I mean, I think it's so few and far between. You look at Jared Goff, he's probably the best example of a pure pocket passer. A little bit with Matthew Stafford as well, who does have the ability to take off and get a couple first downs a game with their legs. But a guy that you played and really, in the Bill Walsh and that system that kind of, you had some 49ers experience. Yeah. He always wanted a quarterback, even in the 80s, he wanted a quarterback that could give you at least 2 first downs a game with his legs. Yeah. And I think you're starting to see that across the NFL, that's something that you have to do to be able to survive in this current landscape.
And yet I worry about the longevity of a quarterback who relies on his legs. Bo almost had 500 yards rushing, and we're all taken by surprise by his athleticism, but then you find out he's playing with 3 fractures in his back in his rookie year, and he still just pushed through and played. Yeah. These guys are going to get banged up when they take off like that. It's up to them to try to protect themselves.
You bring up a great point about Jalen Hurts. I mean, the whole question right now of this Super Bowl matchup is, if Jalen Hurts is healthy in this game, then we're probably going to see a bit more of a competitive matchup. So,
I'm sorry.
And that's a big part of it. When you are a rusher and you are such you predominantly, like, you add to the rushing game like Jalen Hurts does with Saquon Barkley, it leaves you, you're at risk to get injured.
So when you talk about, though, Jalen and Saquon, is this the recipe that could down the Chiefs?
I think it's possible. Running the football keeps the ball in your possession. It keeps Patrick Mahomes and company off the field. I just think, though, you got to beat them by 2 touchdowns. If it's a one-score game, at the end of the game, they're just so skilled. Whether you're going to call it, the refs are helping them or not, these guys know how to win these close games. And so no matter what, you just got to put points on the board and create some distance between you 2 guys, or they're going to win it in the end.
Might that be why these Eagles tried everything in their power to obliterate the Commanders so that they can build in that looking for blood mindset, because they will have to beat the Chiefs convincingly to win the game, in my opinion. That's a great point.
Yeah, that 2-score lead, it feels like it's absolutely critical. We got to take a break here on Xfinity Monday Live. Welcome back into Xfinity Monday Live here at the View House Centennial, and we are bringing back a game from our Blitz, and that is called State Your Case. If you're new here, the gentlemen pick a topic out of this Peyton Manning forehead, and they have to state their case. Who
Very
wants to go?
bruised.
I don't know who went
Peyton
first
Manning
last time.
forehead.
You go ahead, Mike.
It's my turn here.
Yeah, you go.
Who should the Broncos target in the upcoming NFL draft? And the answer is very simple, because I am an alum of Boise State, and they have the most dynamic Saquon Barkley and or Derrick Henry-like running back in Ashton Jeanty. He would be transformative, and if you look at all the NFL teams that went with a featured single back, they had a lot of success this year. Look no further than Saquon Barkley in the Super Bowl this coming week.
Let me ask you two questions. Sean Payton said it's not going to be a single back system next year.
Well, I disagree with him.
I know, but that's what he said. And two, there are questions with Ashton. You see his talent, but they say, well, NFL players aren't going to whiff on the tackles that the guys he played. Do you have any concerns about how long it might take him to adjust to the NFL level?
I don't. I know I've done a lot of media stuff in Boise. I have a good familiarity with the maturity level of Ashton Jeanty. He is an incredible weight room warrior, guy that works on his recovery, and obviously the amount of workload that he took on was transformative. It was very different than any running back, frankly, in the last 2 decades since Barry Sanders. So I think very strongly about Ashton Jeanty and what he could offer to the Broncos immediately.
He can only play against the guys they put in front of him.
Right.
When you get to the NFL, you step your game up too. It's not like he's going to play like he did in college in the NFL. He's going to play better as well. So I think he can adjust.
Is that your pick as well then?
A running back or a tight end. I'm not going to name a person, but I think a position of need is running back and tight end. Okay. Clearly a tight end who can catch the ball and block.
And his name is Tyler Warren.
I love
everybody.
I got to watch him against Ashton Jeanty in the Fiesta Bowl.
I like that.
Pete Carroll can turn around the Raiders, much like Peyton and Harbaugh have done with the Broncos and the Chargers. I think that's true. I mean, even though I think it's a weird marriage, Pete Carroll and the Raiders, like Al Davis turning over in his grave, seeing this gum-chewing happy guy come in. Like,
did you see Marshawn Lynch at his introductory press conference today?
No.
Yelling out, Raiders!
Drinking Hennessy
like in the middle of the presser.
And Pete was like, okay.
But clearly they brought him there because they like his brand of football and they want to change maybe some of the Raider way of the past, kind of shooting themselves in the foot all the time. Pete Carroll, a ton of success in this league. I think he'll have success getting the Raiders back to respectability. Whether they'll take that next step, yet to be seen. But I think it's going to be an interesting hire.
The AFC West has become the AARP of the West.
That's
but you know what? I think it's really an impressive group of coaches.
Yes.
A lot of people are kind of throwing shade at this. There's Super Bowls and national championships.
Yes.
And Harbaugh obviously has a national championship. Pete Carroll has national championship and Super Bowl, and everybody else has a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think Hard Knocks should do AFC West. Boomers.
So is Sean Payton the youngest dude there? He's like the...
I think he and Harbaugh are right there.
Might be. Yeah, it's pretty. But yeah, you cannot deny the wins. It's pretty crazy. So it'll be fun to see. All right, we got to take a break, get caught up on today's news and weather. For that, we send it over to our guy, Michael Spencer. You know Michael Spencer.
Hi, Michael. What's up, dude?
I know, Michael. Well, it was by popular demand. We had to come back on a Monday, and it's time now for the People Who Want to Know. People Who Want to Know brought to you by Common Spirit, official healthcare partner of the Denver Broncos and champions for the communities we serve. For People Who Want to Know, we're going to do our last State Your Case since we ran out of time. I will read it to you. Question, can the Broncos make the necessary improvements to compete with the NFL's best as soon as this coming season?
No. I'm sorry, but we saw what happened in Buffalo, right? In the playoffs. And I'm not saying the Broncos aren't on that trajectory. I think in 3 years from now, the Broncos will be hardened. They'll have a couple difficult playoff losses. Maybe they'll get a little better. But if we're talking about winning the Super Bowl and getting where the Chiefs are right now, I think the Broncos, it's not just about the pieces. It's about hardening those pieces and getting these guys to understand what playoff football is all about.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm not scared about for the Broncos in 2025 is the sophomore slump for Bo Nix. Because I think he's so mature. I think he's just going to take the next right step. And insofar as the Broncos as an organization can surround him with at least one, maybe two more playmakers, I like the Broncos in this spot.
I love it. I love both those answers. That was the People Want to Know, brought to you by Common Spirit. We got to take one more break, but we're going to talk what everybody's talking about on the internet. We'll talk about it on the other side. And, of course, everybody's talking about the Chiefs. They cheated. They cheated.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's talk about the questionable calls. Where do you fall, right? On the first down, no first down, the catch, no catch. Are they getting help? Where do you guys fall?
Can I just say that the one really bothered me was not hitting the delay of game at halftime, right before half, for the game clock expiring before the 2 minutes by 1 second.
Yeah.
Like,
But I heard
time
them
is
explain
time.
that as
I don't
they weren't
agree.
synced up.
But I don't agree.
I don't either.
Because one expired and the other one wasn't yet expired. Penalty flag.
But
delay of game.
I just don't understand.
This one.
NBA has a shot clock. Why is there not a shot? It's not that hard.
Were we seeing the same clocks that they were on TV? Is that the same one as that they see in the stadium? Were those synced up? And
That's a
so
great
there could have
question.
been a
That's a
little
great
bit of consternation there. But the fact that there's multiple instances of the Chiefs kind of getting over on the Bills.
Tinfoil hat going
Not
here?
tinfoil hat, but you know, they know that the Swifties will come to the party if the Chiefs are there, and they won't if they're not. Does NFL know that their bread is buttered by these extra fans? Do they like it having them around? I don't know. Is there a league-wide memo or a mandate to make the Chiefs win? No. But is there a ref who has his hand on a flag and kind of maybe is a little tiny bit biased about it? I wouldn't be surprised about that. I think that there might be a little bit of bias. That's why we talked about it earlier. You got to beat them by 2 touchdowns. Don't let the refs decide it.
All right.
I think dynastic teams end up getting accused of there being a bias.
Okay.
And this is a dynastic team.
We are. Hello, everyone. Thanks for logging on to CBSColorado.com. Time now for a few extra minutes with Coach Mike Sanford and Nate Jackson. And if you were watching Monday Live, we just wrapped talking about the controversy. Are the Chiefs getting the fair calls? And you said you feel like dynastic teams get accused of this. You always think about, right, Tom Brady. So let's just recap in case people didn't see where you guys fall on this.
Well, I think the only real dynastic team and superstar player that never got accused of getting the favoritism from the league was Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan kind of stayed a lovable figure for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, while he did insert himself into the National Football League as an early star, I mean, it was like his third Super Bowl. Everybody was just, they get all the calls and they're cheating and this, that, and the other thing. Same thing's happening right now with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's just a narrative going into every game that there's always going to be a call. And so everybody watches the game looking for that call that's going to go in favor of the Chiefs.
They played a lot of football and 7 straight AFC championship games, all these big games. They have these relationships with these refs. They know each other very well. If you get pulled over speeding and you know the cop, he's going to be like, all right, get out of here. I think there's a little bit of that, maybe some familiarity. But I think these refs are trying to referee the game with integrity. I do believe that. But the Chiefs are just so good also at towing the line, at making a play that's almost illegal but not quite illegal, or getting close to it. And so I think that there's an element of gamesmanship that they are able to pull off that other teams aren't.
Let's talk about this upcoming Super Bowl, which of course everybody's already said, the Chiefs and the refs are going to win. But all right, let's play both ways. How do the Eagles reverse course from what happened 2 years ago and beat the Chiefs?
The matchup for me is 2 awesome Italian defensive coordinators between Denver's former head coach and Vic Fangio and Steve Spagnuolo. A lot of vowels between those 2 ball coaches. Really good football coaches.
A lot of meatballs.
Yeah,
too.
no question. And Paisan. And what I like is Vic Fangio brings in the #1 defense in the National Football League, physical, tough, and they're going to get their hits on Patrick Mahomes. I think they're going to be a problem. This is going to be a low-scoring game. And I think it's going to come down to, can Steve Spagnuolo deal with a team that's not predicated on elite quarterback play, but on an elite running back? And that's going to be an interesting game plan for Spags.
Yeah, you remember when Fangio was here as the head coach? He did a good job against the Chiefs, at least defensively. He wasn't able to beat them, but they were really able to slow Patrick Mahomes down. The Eagles had a bad defense last year, and like Mike said, the best defense in the league this year. That's going to be a very interesting matchup. I think if they can, if they can get to him, they can hit him. Easier said than done, but they could win by 2 touchdowns. You never know. I mean, Saquon Barkley is playing at a super high level. These guys, A.J. Brown is a very potent threat. Jalen Hurts can beat you with his legs and with his arms. So, I see it as a defensive battle, like you said.
It's wild when you think about it. Saquon Barkley is the guy that's got to be targeted by every defense that's faced him this year. And he still gets these home run, 60-plus yard runs. It's incredible, especially in the National Football League where it's so hard to find explosive runs.
Right.
Yeah, the Giants are probably feeling like they did the right thing by letting him go.
Yeah, great move there, Mr. Shane and Mr. Dayball.
Yeah, I think John Mara hasn't slept for a few days. Bless his heart. All right, so let's talk about the Broncos. How do the Broncos catch up to the elite? We obviously saw this year when you talk about Ravens, Bills. There was a big gap with the way they competed with them and other teams. How do they catch up?
Yeah, so you continue to build your roster. Every year you lose about, give or take, about 30% of your roster changes. And so there are going to be some new players in some starting roles. Who knows where those are going to be. But to me, you've already started to set the culture. Guys are going to fall fall in line when they come in the locker room, and they're going to play pretty well. To me, it's taking your lumps in the playoffs. Like I was saying earlier, the Broncos got absolutely smacked around against the Bills. They were not quite ready as a young and hungry team for these playoff moments. I know Sean Payton said after the fact, we were excited about next week's matchup. We were going to go to Arrowhead and win. Sure you were, Sean. This is a different team. The Chiefs in the playoffs are a different team than they are in the regular season. And I think the Broncos just have to go through a couple years of seeing what that looks like before they're ready to take the next step.
Experience matters.
For me, it's about the ground game. And the Broncos have to build it and lean into and commit in the offseason, during training camp, and in the regular season to building a strong run game. All the teams that are having success in the postseason, for the most part, are built around having a semblance of a dominant ground game.
And the question is, can Sean Payton even do that? Like, he just wants to throw it. He has to run it on his script. A quarterback or a coach who's committed to the run wouldn't have to run it on his script to remind himself to do it. And so does Sean Payton have it in him to change his philosophy and become, like you said, a team that relies on the ground game?
Because this offensive line that they've built, and George Payton's done a really nice job assembling this offensive line, is built to be a power run game. Like they are lean on you, big physical type of offensive linemen. I want to see more of the gap schemes, the power in the counter that I think the Broncos could be really good at if they get the right back.
So Sean Payton said, though, it's going to be a two-back system. He admitted he couldn't really find the right combo this year. You've been pounding the table for Ashton Genty. Do you think that Sean could commit to just really going one back?
Well, I can say this as a play caller. When something's going really well because you have the personnel that matches it, you start leaning more into it. So I do think that a personnel addition like an Ashton Genty, Devin Neal from Kansas, there's Cam Scattaboo. I think there's some good options out there in the draft. I don't love the free agent market at the running back position this year, but I think that the personnel addition could help Sean Payton fall a little bit more in love, at least fall in with calling the run game.
And yet Sean Payton and offensive coordinators like him like to flex their muscles with all the different personnel groups and packages and cute things they can do with different guys. Jaleel McLaughlin, Marvin Mims, we can do this with that guy, this with that guy. So the temptation is to really cast a wide net and get a lot of cute stuff going on when what you're talking about, relying on one back and just going downhill, is often the most effective way to do it. But genius coaches don't like to do it because it's too simple.
I want to go back to, I'm just thinking, we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. You're talking about how this is the Swifties and it's a business. It feels like what the NFL is missing right now is there's no Brady Manning anymore. It's just Mahomes. And everybody, who has the chance of all the quarterbacks right now to catch up? So we are getting, that matchup where the league is just salivating over, because it feels like there isn't that guy right now.
The one I wanted was Jaden Daniels.
Yes.
And it didn't happen.
But could he grow into that?
I think he can. I do. And I think he's built that way. If you look at his composure, even in the 55-23 debacle that happened for his team this weekend in the NFC Championship, he himself was up for the moment. His dang teammates weren't there quite yet. So I do think that Jaden Daniels has that type of mindset and physical attribute to be that potential guy to take down Mahomes.
I think in a couple years from now, Bo Nix could be that guy because he's going to see him so often. They're going to play him twice every year, and if they play him in the playoffs, it's 3 times. Bo Nix can be that giant slayer and crush Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
I love it. I love it. We're ending the segment on that. That's all we needed. That's the answer we wanted. The best. Coach Mike Sanford, Nate Jackson. You guys are my favorite. Thank you for joining us.
No, you're ours.
You're the best.
Okay, yes.
Award-winning broadcaster, Romy Bean.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We will see you next time.